feel like I need to bring Hollis around with me to introduce everywhere I go, because that was amazing. Thank you, everyone, for having me. First and foremost, just absolutely honored to be in this lineup of speakers. Could never imagine being in a place like this, and thank you so much for all of your words and for coming to this convention. So, as Hollis mentioned, my name's Kate Burke. I'm on the Spokane City Council, so welcome to our city. And I serve Northeast Spokane, which it happens to be the lowest income neighborhoods and highest diversity, so we tend to be, naturally, the lost and forgotten about. So you might be asking yourselves why you're here today and why you're here this weekend, what you're going to learn and how you're going to bring that back to your communities. Well, I'm here to tell you that there's a lot of work to do at each level of government. I'll share a story about what's happening here in Spokane and why we need you guys in your local communities. The other day I decided to go out with our cops. We have a program that helps our law enforcement take down campsites where our unhoused folks are living. And they wanted me to go because I seem to be opposed to it. So they thought if I went, maybe I would learn something. Instead, quite the opposite happened. As you can imagine, it was a really traumatic experience for me. We went into a campsite. A gentleman named David wasn't doing anything except for sleeping in his tent along the river. And the cops woke him up and asked him to get out of the tent, and he immediately said, "It's my constitutional right to be here. I'm not doing anything wrong. I have cleaned up my trash, and I have nowhere else to go." They called that being defensive with them, so they actually handcuffed him, of course. And this was so hurtful. This is one of our community members that needs our help. They were able to arrest him because he had 2 warrants out for his arrest for a shocker, camping. And they took him to jail and put a 48-hour notice on his tent. In 48 hours, the cleaning department can go back and take his stuff. We must act now. But when the rest of the world doubts, Veterans for Peace build. Because you know, veterans, that we cannot wait. We must act now, especially in times like these. When the violence we once extorted overseas finds its way back home, when the seas themselves are giving away, breaking icebergs, and the ice agents are breaking families apart, we cannot wait for what seems reasonable. Actually, no. We must be reasonable and demand the impossible. And that's why we need you, the Veterans for Peace. We need groups that demand government stop the foreign invasion and adventurism, that demands justice for victims of war and works to build a just society. Because without justice, there cannot be peace. And let me assure you, those demands are being heard. Just last year, the Spokane chapter of Veterans for Peace helped me pass a resolution declaring Spokane a nuclear-free zone. And now we're currently working on codifying that resolution into a law. This work could have not happened without that effort. But we cannot rest in our laurels. From the city councils to the Senate, we must, in the words of our Hollis Higgins here, we must work for peace, spend for peace, and diminish anything that silences peace. We must perpetrate peace, communicate peace, meditate for peace, move peace, and imagine peace for the souls of the future. Thank you.